Hi and welcome to Momda's Life Handmade. Today I'm going to share with you 20 of my very creative DIYs that I've done this year. Today is the medium size tin jack-o'-lantern from the Faded Farmhouse, and it is costed here $26.99 US. For this first medium sized jack-o'-lantern, I start with the rectangular rusted orange colored card paper. I fold a thin strip of 1 centimeter along the long side. I then folded the paper to get an idea where to have the face. I sketched the face on the paper as seen in my inspiration. Then I carefully cut out the face using sharp knife and thin sharp scissors. Next, I make snips on the 1 centimeter thick folded edge. This will help me glue the cap onto this. Next, I glue the two ends together to get a cylinder shape. One can glue it, tape it, or staple it. For the cap, one can use a funnel and paint it or use some paper over it. I decided to do the whole thing using paper. So I took a white card paper and formed a cone. Then I measured the shortest edge, which will be the radius of this cone. Then using a ruler, I marked the radius measure and joined the points to get an arc. Next, I cut it to get a sector. Next, I made black bands with color pen. When the two ends are joined, it will form a cap. Then I took a small rectangle and painted black stripes on it, rolled it and glued it to get a cylinder, which I glued over the cone cap to get the funnel shape. Finally, I applied glue onto the snips on the top of the cylinder and attached the cap over it. My orange colored medium sized jack-o'-lantern worth $26.99 is ready for free. Here is the final reveal in the daytime, and I think this looks great. I love this rusted pumpkin, the angry zigzag smile, the eyes, the hat. Now for this DIY, if you get in your craft store any of the shapes which is in the shape of an anchor, great. But if you don't get, like I don't get them here, so the easiest way that I always do is take a piece of sturdy cardboard. It's from one of the packagings that I got at home. I just drew the shape of an anchor. Now getting a shape of an anchor is also very easy. Go to the internet and look for anchor silhouettes or clip arts, and you'll get a picture. Enlarge it to the size that you want and then print it out. Use it as a template to mark your image, and here I have drawn it. I did a freehand sketch with a pencil over this, and I'm just going to cut this piece out. Now I've cut this piece out from the cardboard, so because I have this white background with some print and dirt look out there, but I'm going to use this the surface for painting, or one can use a base coat of white over the cardboard or your shape and then start off. So I'm starting with a light blue over this. Next, I'm adding some very light gray color here to demarcate the different levels or stories of this lighthouse. Once dried, it starts showing through, the colors become more prominent. Now I'm using a gray which is a mix of white, blue and black. So there is a element of blue in this which looks very nice with these colors. So I'm using it here. For the next step, I'm going to make some doors which open into this veranda, and this is in dark gray. Now when this is all dry, I'm using a black crayon to give a little more dimension to this, a little more depth, lightly doing it. Now if one has a tiny shell or a tiny starfish or something artificial for decor, one can use. If you don't have, one can even take a little piece of sandpaper and just cut it in the shape of star, maybe add some colors. I decided to go with this because it stands out very well against the blue, and I'll glue it here. Now the final step, I'm going to take some jute string and I'm going to glue it here like this. I'll just twist it around and glue it at the back. Maybe one more twist can come. Here. I shall glue it like this. And isn't this the cutest lighthouse, the cutest anchor? It's surely one of the best ones that I've ever seen. For the first DIY, I am using this teapot. This is a very old teapot. It belonged to my mother. This teapot has lost all its companions. This is the only thing left. My mother couldn't throw it away for sentimental reasons. I brought it home for my crafting and decor purpose. So I'm going to use this teapot. This teapot alone can serve a purpose if you just hang it with some grains or seeds for birds to eat inside. It itself will serve a purpose as a bird feeder, but to give it a little decorative look, I'm going to turn this into a bird's nest or a bird house. So for this, other than this teapot, which is the main role player here, I'm going to use some jute strings, and I'm going to use this thermocol sheet. It's about half an inch thick. I'm just going to cover this area first and give it a little decorative touch with this. I'm going to use also this little branch twig I found in my garden for this decor. So the first thing that I'll do is I'll measure how much is this diameter of this circle and cut a circle out so that it fits in perfectly and I can glue it here. I'm going to cut this thermocol using a sharp blade. I've always said whenever cutting a cardboard or a thermocol, one needs to use sharp blade, otherwise you'll just destroy it. Now I have this circle cut out and it fits in very perfectly well. So now I'm going to cut a hole for the bird to go in. That's the purpose. So this is the back side where the markings are already there. So I'm going to make another marking here. I took another lid to mark it, and again I'm going to cut this circle out. This is going to be the door of the birdhouse. Next, this is the stick that I took, and you can see it has got a little branch coming out. I specifically chose this so that it looks very natural to a branch, and I'm going to just add some glue on this end and just poke it in. So here is the glue, and because it's a thermocol, no special technique required. I can just poke it in and the glue will hold it well in there. So this is done. Now I'll glue it to this so that the handle, the branch and the spout is in one line, and I'll glue it here. Now to give this birdhouse a little farmhouse look, I'm going to take a black paint pen and just highlight the door and other details here. Now I have this little jute string bow, and I'm using a double-sided tape to attach it to the base of this handle. Yeah, and it's done. Now I'm just going to use this jute string to hang it from here. Just make a loop and hang it, and it's ready to hang it over any tree or on the windowsill or in your veranda. I think it's going to look pretty gorgeous in modern farmhouse style with the words chirp on it, and it's ready to go. I will need 4 of these paper cups only, and then I'm going to paint them in white color, or you can use your own choice of color, or one can add paper over it. I'm using a paper to cover my cup. So here I have an A4 size paper, cup and a pencil. So this is the joint of the paper cup, and I place it on one edge and mark the bottom edge and the top edge. And I roll the paper cup slightly and again mark the bottom and the top edge. I shall continue doing this till I reach the other side or other end, where again the joint falls on the paper, and I will mark about a centimeter extra on the paper for overlapping and for gluing to the paper cup. So this will give me the pattern. Now I just have to join these lines and cut my paper out. Now I place it over my cup such that the small edge is at the bottom, and because the glass widens at the top, the broader edge on the top, and roll it up. Then I will, if I find anything extra, I'm going to trim it off and then just using some glue, attach it over the cup. Now this acts as a template. Now if there is any extra edge, as I had in this one, I just trimmed it using a pair of sharp scissors. Now this is my template, and I'm going to use this template to cut 3 more pieces out of the paper. I just used a glue stick and attached my paper on the paper cup. So now I have 4 white colored bells. Now to give it that farmhouse look or the vintage Christmas feel, I'm going to paint some stripes using red acrylic paint and brush. So I wanted the look of grain sacks or those beautiful farmhouse chic stripes. So I added 3 stripes with 1 broad one in the center and 2 thin stripes on the sides towards the bottom edge of the bell. On the top edge of the bell, I just made 1 single broad red stripe. I did this to all my 4 bells. All the 4 bells are ready and they look gorgeous in red on white. Now bells must hang, so I took jute string and a sharp knife, and I just cut a small slit in the center of the base of the bell, and then using a screwdriver I just pushed one end of the jute string inside the bell from the base portion. Now I pulled the string out and tied a knot here, a broad knot, so that it doesn't slip off at all from the bell. Then I just pull the string and the bell can now dangle with the help of the jute string. So I'm going to do this to all the 4 bells again. Now to give these bells a little more finished and beautiful look, I decided to add some touch of glamour. I took this gold strings or gold ropes and I just made a simple, very simple bow right at the joint of the jute string and the bell. This also covers the attachment portion and makes it look better. The next step is making a bow. For making my bow, I took this antique gold colored ribbon and then just leaving a tail to begin with, I started making loops on either ends. And at the same time, I was crunching and bringing them together in pleats between my 2 fingers, thumb and the index finger. So holding the loops, one on left, then on right, again on left and the right, and again the tail is left out on the other side, and then using a thin wire I just twisted it around and I took it at the back to secure it, again twisted the 2 ends of the wire together. So I have some loose ends of the wire left which will help me attach it to the swag as well, and I have an easy yet beautiful bow ready. Nearly final step. These are the items that I am going to use. First, I have these 2 bunches of florals in whites and I really like the colors here. Then I have my 4 bells with the jute string and golden bows. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now I have my antique gold bow. I also added an extra loop on the top because I had some extra ribbon there. Then I have this foliage, which I believe is redwood, so I have 2 small ones and 1 really big one. I also have more thin wires to attach all these onto the swag and a string for holding these foliages together. Now beginning with my leaf, so there is a front part and there's a back part. So putting the back facing towards me, I'm going to place the two small leaves on either side such that it gives a little extra width. So one on this side, the other on the other side, so I got a little extra width on the top of the swag and the shape comes beautifully. Now taking a little string, I'm going to hold all these three pieces together and tie two tight knots here to secure them together. Then with the loose ends, I'm going to try another knot at the tip of these loose ends so that I just have a loop which will be helpful for hanging this swag onto the door or wall. Now let's take the floral sticks. They are bunches and have stems at the end. So I'm going to place them one on either side like this and secure it at the back side itself. So I'm going to take a thin wire and fix them together. And then using this wire, I'm going to attach it to the big foliages. I was just making sure that it is well spread out and the shape looks better, so one can adjust these florals accordingly. These are artificial florals here. Now I'm facing my swag front side. Now I will attach the bells. Now what I did with the bells, I used strings and added the bells on either side of the string. So I'm just adjusting it such that a bell is slightly on the top and then comes the next bell. So I'm going to fix it using again wires. So after attaching the first pair, the second pair also, I'm going to make sure that the third bell lies just near the lower edge of the second bell, and the fourth bell also comes near the lower edge of the third bell. So there is a cascading fashion which really looks nice because it gives a flow. It directs the eye movement when watching or looking at the swag. It looks really beautiful this way. Now is the turn to add the bow. So I'm attaching the bow at the point where all these junctions are seen at the top of the swag. This looks really nice, but I feel there is an empty space left here which is not looking nice. So I had these silver bells ornaments and I attached them again here in the same fashion, and I think this swag looks really gorgeous. I had a plan in my mind how my swag would look like, but honestly I had no idea it will look so gorgeous. I'm really in love with this. It looks beautiful. Unfortunately, I cannot do woodworking. I don't have woodworking skills. Therefore, I prefer to use cardboard because they're easy to use and can be made to have a good amount of strength, especially if one is using corrugated cardboards. So I'm going to use corrugated cardboard, some skewers, these are bamboo pieces, knife, scissors, glue, ruler, pencil, and yes, this is M-seal. This is used in plumbing for sealing something or joining some pieces. These are like two putty kind of things, two different colored putties that are there, and we just put them together to form a clay-like thing which is used for joining pieces or sealing pieces, and once dried they become as strong as concrete. So I'm using this. One can use glue gun as an alternative for this. Next, I'm going to use this lid. This is golden in color. It's basically a lid from a can. I just made sure that this lid can fit my pillar candle easily inside it. And the first thing, how I took my dimensions. So I took 2 pieces. So I did not cut them because I need not cut them. I made a slit here so that I can easily fold it. So there are 2 layers of bigger cardboard and 1 layer of slightly small cardboard. So bigger cardboard here, this is 19 centimeters in length and the width side is 16 centimeters. So 19 by 16 centimeter rectangle, 2 pieces of this, so they form layer of 2 pieces of cardboard together. And if you notice, I have snipped off very small angles here. I think it's clear here. Yes, here I have snipped off. Therefore working with cardboard is easy for me because I can go into these kind of details. I've taken off this angles from all the 4 corners of both these layers, both these 2 pieces of cardboards. This I've taken out because here will be a joint with the skewers, so it needs a space for that. And this piece is smaller than this. This piece is 18 centimeters in length and 15 centimeters in width. That is 1 centimeter small on both the sides, so that this piece will go to the bottom like this, and this will create the groove which can nest these skewers here. So that's the reason the third layer is slightly smaller than the first 2 layers. The first 2 layers will be the base over which the candle or any decor for the lantern will come, and the bottom layer is where everything will rest on the table, and it's also where the joint of the skewers will come. So this is how it will look from bottom part, and like this, and this will be the top part. Now this piece becomes 3 corrugated layer thick. Each cardboard here is 5 layered, so this gives it a good amount of strength and sturdiness. So I'm going to glue this small cardboard right in the center of these 2 layers and also glue the 2 layers together. Now, I used PVA glue for this purpose because it's sturdy and works on many surfaces. I have already glued together the 2 bigger layers, and now the smaller layer, which will form the bottommost layer, I'm just going to place it right in the middle of this so that there is a step formed on all the 4 sides where the skewers can come and nest. Now I'm going to place some weight over it and let this dry very well before going on to the next step. So now this piece is dry and it's thick and sturdy, but now the edges are rough. They don't look neat, and these edges will be seen in the final piece, so I need to tidy them up. So now corrugated cardboards, they have different layers. So there's a layer of flat paper and a layer of corrugated paper, again a flat and a corrugated, and so it goes on. So it's easy to peel it. Just take any portion and try to peel it, and one can peel off the flat layer. So now I'm going to peel this flat layer and cut thin strips which would suit the thickness of this side, and cut them out and then glue them here to get the side, a neat side here. Again, I'm using PVA glue for this because PVA glue works very well with cardboard as well as paper, and it's pretty strong as well. Now this, if you're wondering why is the color a little different, this is actually the corrugated, this brown paper from the corrugated cardboard. But recently in one of the projects I had made it look like stained wood, and therefore it looks dark in color. So I'm just going to, just the way one does for decoupage, I'm just going to glue this piece. Now it's time to stain my wood. So I'm using some black color Sometimes I'm diluting it, sometimes I'm just dry brushing it. I'm making these strokes to resemble that of wood. Now the wood piece is ready. I have placed a plastic sheet underneath it before working with emsil and these skewer sticks. Now emsil takes a little time to harden, and therefore I'm doing it at night, so the light is little less, so pardon me for that. So one needs to mix equal amount of both the pieces and then just knead it like one single dough. Starting with this much amount, I can take some more. The only thing is you need to keep these things separate. They should not mix with each other, because if they do, they will react and will not work the next time. So I'll take the same amount as this much from the other piece, wrap it up and put it back. So if required, I'll mix it again. So now I need to mix these two together really well. I'm doing it at night because it will take some time, so overnight it can dry up and I can start using it. And I need to make this frame in one sitting because that is how it will be a stable frame. Last year I made a geometrical decor piece, also called Himeli. So I'll put a card link above for you. If you have missed it, it's beautiful artwork and it looks great in decor. So you can check that video also. I'll put a link in the description box also. It's a little messy, but it washes off easily with little soap and water. So you see here, I have mixed the two things together and I got this dough kind of thing. So I'm just making small balls to work with it. First arrange them. It's little messy, but once set, it's as strong as concrete. It is little difficult to begin with, but gradually it works out. So I just managed to add these things, and now I'll bring the block here, wooden block here. I've kept some talcum powder here to help me with the sticky thing. It's quite an effort trying to make it stand this frame till it dries. It needs some support and hopefully it will be fine in the morning. It's early morning. Let's see if the structure stands on its own. I'm going to remove all the supports here. So here is the lantern frame ready. I said I'll be making this thing in my own colors and dimensions that will suit my needs. So I decided to paint this frame in bronze color. It somehow looks great with my decor and has a very rich look, which I really like. Last night was real struggle while I was just trying to make this whole thing stand. It was very troublesome. There was a moment I was feeling it will not work out. 2 hands were not enough to make this structure stand. So I had to call my husband and he supported while I arranged the boxes around it so that there is support for the structure to stand and while the joints dry up and they become strong. So now it's fine, I guess. That's also the reason why I worked last night before sleeping, because otherwise the whole time I would be checking on it whether it's working, not working. So it was good in a way. I finished it at night and slept off, and in the morning now I'm painting it, and this is acrylic paint and it'll dry up very soon, so it will be ready for decor. Even the joints look good. There are knobby joints even in the original piece where the metals are welded together, so this is fine. Now finally I'm just going to glue this lid right in the center with the inner side up, so that there is a hollow inside where I can place my candle. My pillar candle is a battery operated candle, so I'm not bothering to look for a glass, which I actually don't have. So if you have a glass, you can add a glass and use real candles in it, but I prefer to use a battery operated candle inside the house, so this will work perfectly fine. Let's see how it looks. What do you think, my friends? Have I nailed it or failed it? With the price that I made it for free, I think this is just gorgeous.